said I got to say something, baby, hand me the mic. I said I got to say something, better hand me the mic. Somebody hand me a mic, cause I got to say something, so just hand me a mic. When I need to say something, better hand me the mic. I said I got to say something, better hand me the mic.
Man, 20 years ago, people were not going to the gym. Well, if they were, I certainly didn't see anything. Like, 20 years ago, I was 20 years old. Like, I can honestly say now, hand on heart, 20 years, where was I working? Probably at EE. What was Orange then?
Oh, we all did a stint there living in Darlow, didn't we?
I had a circle of friends. I was going out. I was sociable then. And I can honestly say now, I didn't know a single person that went to a gym. Did you at 20?
No, the reason when I was here the first time and you were talking about the Penthouse, I started to play for a football team on a Saturday and all those lads went to the Penthouse.
Oh.
And I don't know whether back then it was kind of a, you bring someone to the gym, you get something off your membership. But that's how my journey into the Penthouse went. And I remember the first session in there was a couple of doormen, I think Route 66,
Right.
Club 2K. And I remember that was my experience walking into the Penthouse and seeing all those big, muscle bodybuilders and thinking, what have I signed up for here? And I'd signed up for 6 months, and I'd go with my friends, but we didn't have a clue what we were doing. And it was just to play football. And that's why I brought it back to like preparing for coming up here. And I was thinking, I'm not interested. I've said to you before, you lads always think, I'm that strange guy who starts your new work. Do you like football? I'm like, not your football, but it's strange.
Yeah.
And obviously the office I work in, I work with a Sunderland fan, I work with a Liverpool fan. So you imagine the last few days at work have been pretty epic because they've been absolutely sky high with everything that's gone on. But yeah, my gym, I'm still a rookie. I'm still miles away from where I want to be, but
Yeah, I mean...
Have you got a trainer? Have you looked into doing that?
No, Tracy isn't so keen, but obviously doing the stuff that I do with the content and coming on your show and following people, I'm like, shall I pay for a plan? And then I watched your episode with Connor and you said you'd done his plan, but it wasn't for you. And then I'm like, Cameron had reached out a couple of times, but again, his package looked amazing, but I'm 44 and I'm never going to fight in the UFC. So then I was like, do I go down that route? So I've toyed with it, but no, to be honest, when we signed up for the gym we go to, the young lad was quite canny. He showed us around the machines. He gave us a 3-day program that we follow.
Right.
So we do day 1 legs, day 2 push, day 3 pull. And then if we go any other time out with that, we just kind of wing it a little bit. But
Right. Talk about being rookies, right? I'll tell you what it is with regards to exercise and diet and lifestyle. This is true, right? Every single person's a rookie. I'll tell you for why we're all a rookie. Because there's that much new information / conflicting information / different opinions / point of view / way of doing it, however you want to spin it. None of us have a fucking clue. Because everybody that thinks they have a clue, there's somebody else that says that's not the way. This is the way. You shouldn't be doing that. I'm years deep in it. I'll literally, in a given day, I've said this a million times before, in a given day, I can be convinced by Joe Rogan or one of his crew that carnivore diet is the way. You eat nothing but red meat. Nothing. You don't need vegetables. You don't need this. You don't need that. And you look at them and you're like, oh, well, they're all absolutely jacked to the gills, and they're on top of the game in life. So, they're right. Then you listen to Jeff from Athlete X. He's banging pasta. And he's ripped, mate. Big time, mate. Like jacked. And, he's smashing pasta every day. So, mate, I don't know if it's all by design.
I agree. I think to some regard there is a lot of misinformation out there, and I agree. I always thought pasta was the devil. You've got to try and stay away from pasta if you're trying to get in shape or get shredded. However, I think it's different when it comes to the laws of the gym, because before I did the Fight to Fit program,
so you did Cameron's.
So I did Cameron's, yeah, and he tailored the plan all to me. And I said, I've probably got about an hour and a half max. I said about 4 or 5 times a week max. And he tailored a plan to me. I stuck to it religiously for 3 months. And I did definitely increase in strength, increase in my capabilities. And not just that, it's a technique of knowing how to do it. And once you get comfortable with it in the gym, you won't walk in there and think, oh, I'm a novice. I don't, you're walking there and I'm going to do arms today. I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm going to do back today. And these are the 7 exercises that I need to do to properly train my back and every bit of it. So I think the one thing a trainer did for me was give me that confidence in the gym. So that's the only reason I recommend it, Paul. I think if I'm not saying confidence like a man like yourself is something that will be lacking in the gym.
The world's most unconfident, confident person I've said to you before.
You come across super confident.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a hell of an act, but you come across like literally like dick swinging. Do you know? Literally.
Just down to the legs.
Yeah,
down to the
Paul,
knees.
I won't say there's kids watching, but you know what I mean? Paul's got that sort of
potential.
that sort of glow about him. Do you know what I mean?
There's every chance.
I mean, I didn't think we were going to go down the... I didn't think we were going to go down the... I mean, the plan question. You talked about Joe Wicks on an episode I watched recently. And I think back in 2015, social media and trainers were just becoming a thing. And I followed his journey from him being a PT down in London. And he had a big following on Twitter in 2015. And I remember at the time, I'd just become a dad, 35. I thought, Christ, I'm old, 10 years ago. And I followed his 90-day plan religiously. But like you said, it was more after that end of the 90 days, I felt absolutely class. But then I just went back to old habits. And I think to bring it back to me at the moment, I know all the personal trainers you guys have had on would say nutrition. I'm 44. I like full fat Coke. I like chocolate. I like pizza.
Brother.
I like Parmos. So what me and Tracy have agreed is we're doing this to be healthy, but we're not going to restrict anything. So there was an episode you guys were doing, and I wasn't sure if it was Cameron's plan, but off camera you were talking about the plan you were doing. And part of me's like, I don't want to shell out this money because I know fine well I'm not going to stick to it at that level, but I'm happy at doing what I'm doing and where I am at. Soon to be 45. Tracy always tells me off because I age up because I'm not 45 until August. So she said on that podcast tonight, when they ask you how old you are, you tell me 44. So that's how old I am at the moment.
So you're 46.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, do you know what, right? I'm going to say something that you probably would never expect to hear me say, right? Over the past 10 years, right, I've done the whole gym thing, right? I've had people say to me, how would you have the discipline? How would you do so much? I had it, mate. I've done it all, mate. I've been shredded to bits. I've had the muscles. I've had all that. I've stood on the beach with me 6-pack and had people looking over the sunglasses. I had it all, right? And you know what, right? Now, it's my 10-year anniversary of being a gymmer. April 2015, whatever that is. 10 years ago, I did it. And I'm going to tell you all something now, right? Don't do any of it, right? I'm going to say this now, and this is against everything.
You're contradicting everything
I'm telling you,
ever told me right now.
I'm telling you from experience, right? I've spent the last 10 years obsessing, right, about a 6-pack. Obsessing. And what I've done for 10 years is I've missed life, and I've just trained. When all my other mates were going in the pub, having nights out, having fun times, I had it wired in my head that, no, I need to have the edge. I need to have the edge. This is what's making me different. When everyone else was tired, I went, no, I have to. I'd go to the gym 10 o'clock till midnight, like listening to my psycho hip-hop Shook Ones by Mobb Deep, thinking, yeah, this is it.
If you've mentioned that song.
This is the edge. This
I
is
love
the
that
edge.
song.
Oh, my killers and the $100 billers. Thinking, yeah, this is it. Like, looking at myself, oh, yeah, I'm jacked. And you know what, mate? You know what I was impressing? Me. That's who. What you want to do, right? For anyone that's never been on a gym journey before, don't do it, right? Eat what you want, right? Drink what you want, and stay healthy in the run a few times a week. Don't just sit on the couch. Go for a walk every day. Do something. Walk your dog. Mate, it's all for nothing, mate. It don't mean nothing.
To some extent, I think there are benefits to obviously being stronger and being a better version of yourself.
Healthy.
The way you healthy is good. Healthy is more beneficial, I believe. However, you've taken it to this extent for this amount of time. Paul, don't you think it's just a bit of a complete contradiction of his whole last 10 years?
I think what he's trying to say when my marriage broke down in 2015, 10 years ago, and I started going out with the young lads, like I said, the first episode here, there was one lad in particular, he was ripped. He was trying to be a bodybuilder. I won't name his name, but we went on a night out. And I remember going on, you meet at Darlton train station, you've got your cans. And he was there with his bottle of water and his protein bar. And I just remember looking at him that day thinking, how much fun are you really going to have on this? It was a Saturday afternoon, the sun was shining, we were going out to watch the football, which is quite ironic because I didn't like the football. And I think looking back, if he had his time again, he would think, what would it have really mattered if I'd just let my head down with the lads that one day? And I think that's what Dan's trying to say. He's not saying, sack it all off altogether. And that's the approach me and Tracy have tried to take. I mean, don't get me wrong, I was nowhere near ripped when I went to Disneyland Paris last year, but I felt good in my basketball jersey and having my arms out. I felt good as a 40-something-year-old bloke that didn't have a beer belly. So I think that's what he's trying to say. But I suppose the other guests you've had on who are the PTs are probably thinking, oh, no, he's just destroyed our business model.
No, I'm speaking from the heart. I'm speaking, you add it up, right? 2-3 hours a day, 6 times a week, right? What's that? So let's say it's not, it was longer, but let's say it was only 2 hours a day, right? Times that by 6. What's that? 12 hours a week, right? Times that by 4, which is a month. What number did I say? 12 times 4 is 48.
40, yeah.
Now times that by 12. What's 48 by 12? A lot, right? 600 maybe?
Yeah.
600 hours a year, right? Times that by 10. 6,000 hours in the gym. 6,000 hours.
Over 10 years.
You think
that is mental. That's some quick maths there, Daniel.
Hours when I could have been with loved ones. I could have been doing, okay, take out the sentimental shit. I could have been doing something to benefit my life. I could have been learning something.
So do you think 3,000 would have been a healthier number?
Mate, half an hour a day.
Yeah.
Half an hour a day. No more. If you're going to do something, for me, you don't even have to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know people, mate, who've never been in the gym, right? I know people who've never been in the gym and they've took the piss out of themselves and they're in a right state. But I know people that have just kept themselves healthy. They're not gymmers. They haven't lifted weights. They walk the dog and they might play a five-a-side once a week and they're fine. I mean, let's say, okay, maybe I take it back. I don't mean do what you want. I mean, just don't do
Would you have a different goal? Like, so obviously I know we've gone down this rabbit hole. I know Southpaw did the marathon recently. So obviously part of his training program will have been working up to that. And
yeah.
I think looking back, I think I just hammered the cardio too much. And obviously, when I say I played football, nothing to shout about. I was a pub league footballer, but I enjoyed it. I played 5-a-side a few times a week, played 11-a-side. And I think when I look back, I think, bloody hell, how much time did I spend doing that? But the gym at the moment, it's something we look forward to. It's something we do together. It's something we don't beat ourselves up over if we don't go.
Do you have a business? Thinking about starting one? Dash, the bespoke web design and branding experts. When you have a business that needs a professional online presence, when your current website is starting to look a little outdated and tired, when you have an idea and want to see it brought to life online, that's where Dash can help. Dash create bespoke websites built around your business and its requirements, from exceptional e-commerce stores to sell your products online to beautiful brochures showcasing who you are and what you do. The team at Dash will become an extension of your business. You'll be assigned a dedicated team who will help guide and advise from the initial design brief all the way to the website launch. Not only that, Dash provide full aftercare to carry out any changes, alterations or updates quickly and efficiently. It's like having your very own personal web development team 365 days a year. Dash understands that in today's world, the right online image, exposure and representation is the key to success. Book in a free, no obligation consultation with one of their experts today to see how Dash can make your online vision an online reality. Just visit www.dashmedia.co.uk or search Dash Media on Google to find out more. Dash, the bespoke website and branding experts.
Since I was last here, got me little stats. I know you like Dan, 6 months, and
Oh, yeah.
30 days since I was here. I'll be honest,
31 days or 30.
30 days, 6 months and 30 days since I last spoke to you chaps.
So what date was that then?
It was the USA general election. It was the day after, remember. It was November. It was either
Was
the
it?
5th
Oh,
or the
yeah.
6th.
That's
Trump,
it, yeah.
So we had
Yeah,
a
yeah.
big conversation about Donald Trump and him picking up the phone and ending the Ukraine war, remember? That was what was going to happen 6 months ago.
Yeah. Yeah, he didn't like.
No, it didn't. It didn't happen. No.
Did not do that like.
He had his head, didn't he?
Yeah. I still like him though. Let's not go down that rabbit hole, but I prefer him than the other mush, right?
Yeah, I wasn't sure whether you were gonna. I know you're a fan of Donald. Tell us about the successes and stuff, but third time of people like us for me, Dan.
Yeah, third time. It's what do you think of the new place?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I thought the first room you took me into was the new studio, and I was thinking a lot of work to be done. I love the logo and the dynamics of you sitting that side and the guests sitting here. seems a bit different. But no, it looks good, and I'm delighted to be one of the first people. Then I'm not going to lie to you.
Mate,
When
you
you
are-
announced the goodbye episode, and it was weird seeing you pull it all down and talk about it. I've been refreshing that browser for the new episode, thinking who was the first guest, and there hasn't been an episode for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I've been lost without my people like us fix.
No, man. Yeah, you're the first guest back. I think it's only right. To be honest, Paul, out of everybody, you've shown the most support. Not that out of guests, obviously my mum loves it, you know what I mean? But out of the guests who joined us, you've been
on the journey from a
You've been on the journey.
Yeah,
You've always said complimentary things. Like, if I can rely on somebody and I know you've watched it because you'll comment on things that you've watched, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's nice. You've took the time out of your day. You got a busy life. You got a family. You got a job. You got the gym. You got everything, and like you're taking an hour out of your life to sit and watch us divvies. But this whole dynamic here. Don't think this is some like master plan of design. This is literally all we could fit. Like this wasn't how it was meant to be. We completely like, you know, this hasn't gone well at all. Like if you just have a look behind you, you can still see the window frames and stuff. Whoopsie, that didn't go right. Dan Walls is probably the Northeast Banksy, but what we did is we give him straight lines and basically what should have been a print. Like we made loads of mistakes. You know, this should have been a sticker on the wall. Really,
we should have. So Dan Walls is the guy who did all the art
an
in
artist,
here, and he's we're gonna have him on. You'll see that episode. But he's a really really talented guy, and he normally works on murals for big companies. He works all over the country on stuff.
Beautiful art.
Like really, but it's always his vision. And we said, Dan, come in here and create our vision. And he's got it very, very close.
He's done well.
He's very, very close. But like the beauty in his art normally comes from his own
mind.
Yeah, so it's not quite came out the exact way that we sort of would have wanted it to, and that's all down to our poor planning.
Yeah, we boo-booed it big time.
We boo-booed it.
We boo-booed it big time. We completely overshot it. We misjudged the size.
And to be honest, Paul, go back. It was last week, wasn't it? So last week, me and Joe, the guy who does our audio, shout out Joe, we spent all day in here prepping it to be a studio. Now Dan, being Dan, didn't come down all day, and it got to 5:30. I said, right, Dan, are you ready to come look at your studio? And we'd managed to pull off what is now
fucked. That's what I thought.
What is now a studio. And I was like, he's going to come down, he's going to say, but I knew we'd done a good job with what we had, because this table in the middle, we put it all together, and it's finally came out like this. You couldn't believe it, could you?
I couldn't believe it, no.
I
was convinced.
In a good or a bad way, when you couldn't believe it.
Consider, look, on that morning, and the day I'd been here the day before, trying to make things fit. And I left on the Saturday, it was a Saturday, I think. And I'd fiddled around with these desks, trying to make it fit, putting the curtains up. And this is actually a server. Like, this is a comms unit.
All right.
So that's not actually like just a pillar. That's a door. And inside is all the servers and all the electricians for this building. And I was stood in here on that Saturday. The fans were going. It was going, ooh, and I was stood here. The tables didn't fit. And I was like, what have we done? And I was just thinking of that beautiful studio we had. And I was thinking, what have we done here? I was seeing, oh, mate, I thought it's done. I thought podcast's over. And I literally texted him, and I sent a picture as I was leaving. Last thing I did is I took a picture of the room and sent it to Southport. And what I said to him was, looks like we need a new studio. Like, this ain't going to work. And he was just like, oh, my God.
My head was just in my hands. You know, we'd spent months planning, prepping, moving, getting everything over here, and it was like
him and Joe rocked up, and they're like, "Oh, we're going to try and make it work." And I was certain, Paul. I didn't need convincing. I was certain. I said to Southpaw, I said, "You're wasting your time, mate." I said, "It's too noisy. It's too small. The lighting's fucked." I said, "It's not going to work, mate. I'm sorry, but you're wasting your time." So that's why I never come down. Whilst him and Joe were here, what I thought wasting their time, I was literally thinking these two lads are completely.
You're on Google looking for a new studio while they're down here grafting.
I hadn't got that far. I was depressed. I was literally just sulking. Like, don't believe it. Like, I'm not going to have a podcast now. That's it, no.
You send him thumbs up on the text, you know.
Thumbs
I know
up.
you're a big fan of that.
Yeah. Thumbs up. Hit thumbs up there.
We'll get into that. I'm on the same page as you. To be honest, I'm like you. So with the 49er Faithful UK, Lee Gowland, who's the president, he sets all the sound up. He does all the technical duties. I turn up on a Thursday, press record on StreamYard. So when you said that there, I thought, I'm like you, I just rock up. And then if it doesn't work, I'm like, why is it not working? But
You
to be honest,
are just the talent, aren't you?
you
You
just
just
got
rock
to
up,
give
don't you,
yourselves
right?
the credit. I was when you opened that door, the first thing that struck me was the logo, and I like that you've stuck to your brand. I mean, I know it's only wood paneling, but I did feel like I'm at People Like Us.
Did you?
And I do like the sign, yeah.
Very different, innit?
Yeah, I mean, even the dynamic of view on that side, it sounds daft, but it does feel a bit strange, but I don't know, in a good way. I feel as if, yes, the camera's there, Southpaw's over there, but I feel like we are just having a conversation.
Yeah, it's
I
closer,
feel
innit?
quite at ease on this side of the desk.
We might need to play with it a bit because I actually personally think that we need to do something with the camera angles because as you're having a conversation with the guest, it's not looking at me at all. And really, it's not looking at you either. Do you know? Maybe we need to play around with it a bit. But
There's still stuff to be played with, but
and I'm not convinced on this lighting. Southpaw seems to think turning the lights off and having these on is the way. I don't think it's the way.
let us know in the comments, people.
Yeah, let us know.
I
in
have
the
a
comments.
smaller version of them at mine. So when I do the pod at home, I have the lights off, I have the curtains closed, and I have two of them. And they are really bright. And hence why, giving away a bit of a secret, I tend to do the pods at home in a t-shirt because it's red hot by the time you come off with those lights. There's another reason why I wear a hat. Because once I did a pod without a hat on, and I got a little bit like sunburn off the lights coming on. But no, I like the studio. And as I said last time I was here, the people at home are not sponsored, but full fat, only Brits call it that, glass bottled Coke, which I said I would bring.
Are they for us, are they?
They're for you guys,
Well,
yeah.
let's have one then. Let's get started.
That's very
Full fat
kind,
Coke.
Paul.
And I must admit, you are right with this. This is pretty epic.
Delicious,
nice,
isn't
isn't
it?
it?
So
It's
Tracy,
delicious.
it's not Red Bull. It's not an energy drink as such.
It
Because
is.
Tracy's
It's
not
sort of-
massive on
It
a
sort
little
of
bit of
is
an
like.
energy drink.
It's a
But
little-
this is nice.
It's a little
I
tiny
like
bit
it.
of an energy
a little
drink.
bit of
like
an
it.
energy drink.
But it's not the horrible stuff. It's not like this poison. It's look, they're talking all the talk, aren't they, Southpaw? What's it say?
It's got a range.
Guava.
Zero added sugars, no sweeteners. It's
We had the
guava
lights on, I could read
extract,
this.
natural fruit juice, natural caffeine from green coffee beans,
See what I'm saying?
green tea
So
extract.
compared to Monster and Red Bull and that kind of stuff, this
Yeah.
is a million
This
times
is
better,
like
isn't
the
it?
gold dust of
Right.
Monster, really. Yeah.
So if bright drinks, if you are listening, look, just saying, you know, we're
Yeah.
up for sponsors.
we're a big fan.
The
That's
reason
actually,
I did, obviously, I took your advice. I took a drink, and my missus will be thinking, "My God, he never tries anything." So I'll be honest. You handed me that. I thought I'm going to open this, and if I don't like it, I won't be able to hide it. And it is. It's quite nice, mate.
It's
so
fruity, innit? It's fruity.
nice.
It's
I like
aight.
it.
It's not bad. Well, I suppose it's a bit late and belated, but we have to say it. Are we rolling, Southpaw?
we are rolling, believe it
are
or
rolling.
not, people.
How far are we in there?
22 now.
22. So sorry, ladies and gentlemen, that's a late one, but we were nattering. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back, and as you probably guess, after the 20 minutes, we're joined by Mr. Paul Hope. Welcome back, Paul. Tell us, Paul, what's going on in your life?
When I got the invitation from you guys to come back on, I was thinking, this time of year is not normally great for the NFL. It's the off season. And then I start writing stuff down, and I think, I said before, I'll embarrass you guys, March 24, you had 73 subs. June 2025, last time I checked before I drove here, you had 348 subscribers. So that journey that you're on, I know sometimes in this content creating world, we get hung up on the reaching 1,000 subs and the views and the comments, but you're doing it the right way. So I think you should give yourself
Slowly.
a pat on the back.
Organically.
But I will start with a funny story.
Go on.
Obviously, you guys at home who are not big NFL fans, you'll have heard me talk about the 49ers and the 49er Faithful UK.
Mm-hmm.
So I shared with Southpaw off air Brad Graham, who runs the SF Niners. He's like the gold standard of 49ers content creators based in California. He has like 100,000 YouTube subs. Been dying to get on his show ever since I started this content creating world. And from meeting you guys, try and manifest, I thought, where can I go after the Patrick Willis? Where can I go after meeting some of the Niners players? So I started to reach out to the big content creators. Bit cheeky, send them a message every now and then.
Are you Des Rudders?
So a few weeks ago, off-season, Brad Graham sends me a message, Dan. Will you agree a date? Will you agree a time? And I thought, boom, going on his show. I'm going to be a guest. So I'm sat at home, all my gear on, waiting. The phone beeps. He's expecting to come on our show. I've done no prep. I've got no thumbnail created. I've not told the 49er Faithful UK. But it was one of those moments where I thought, if I rearrange at this moment in time, he ain't coming back on. This is like, Eminem. Take that one opportunity. So I just sent him a message back and I said, look, I thought I was going to be a guest, but yeah, I'll host, no problem. He streamed it on his channel. So we have 1,000 subs on ours. He has 100,000. We went live and I absolutely winged it. No prep, no notes. I thought I might have him for 20, 25 minutes. And now we're in. We're still talking football. He's sharing stuff that I didn't know about him. And when we finished, he said how refreshing it was to do a 49ers show without the kind of script. You know, we're going to be talking about Brock Purdy and his contract. We're going to be talking about this. So the views went well and I really enjoyed it.
So you got this guy with 100,000, right? You got him on your show.
Yep.
Right. And was it just you and him on?
Just me and him.
Huh.
So when we started with the 49er Faithful UK, the podcast, for those people who watch, there's the four of us. The Awesome Foursome is a nickname I coined. But when I started to branch into the YouTube, the Wednesday night show that we do, I tried to keep it as a couple of guests or, you know, a couple of the hosts. And this was one of those where Brad is one of them content creators where he'll go live on YouTube and it's just him. And he just talks to the camera. But when you've got 100,000 subscribers and people are in the comments, I haven't quite got that confidence yet. I don't know about you. I don't know if I could just press record on a camera and just talk at a camera with no one there.
I mean, I've never tried. I don't know. Probably not. Me and Southpaw tried it once to do a solo episode right at the beginning, completely failed. Like,
I think it's really difficult, isn't it? Like, it's all right when you go live and you've probably got all them people in your chat. Like, you see people talking to the chat quite a lot, and it's live, and people are messaging, saying this, saying that, talking about this. But when you're just talking direct to a camera, like when Theo Von does them solo ones, you got to think, like, the rabbit holes he goes down just in his brain. I think it takes a certain type of person to do that, doesn't it?
do you think when Theo Von does them, do you think he's got points? I think when Theo, you know, like the last one was Big Guy, it was called, the last solo. Before that, it was sort of Big Chili or something like that. And I feel like before he goes on the show, he's got a vague premise of like, oh, that's quite funny. That's quite funny. And he knows some of it is winged because you can see he goes, and he thinks a lot. But I think certain bits in it, he's got like at some point or another, I'm going to bring that up and I'm going to bring that up. I think.
You'd like to think so, wouldn't you? Instead of him just being unbelievably like good on the spot.
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, there's pros and cons. I mean, obviously, I did Brad Graham. I went on John Chapman's show. So John has 17,000 subscribers. He does a lot in the US, so he's a big supporter of ours. He's who I met when I went to San Francisco. And then there's 64 49ers content creators. So the 49er is a very big pond, and we're a little fish in that. But have you heard of something called March Madness, or a bracket that the Americans do? So it tends to be college football, but in March there's the college basketball tournament, and the Americans all pick a bit, like, you know, when you get to the Champions League and like the last 16, you try and plot out the matchups and who's going to win. It's called a bracket.
Okay.
And they're quite big on that. So there's a podcast called the Gold Standard Network. And a couple of years ago, because this is the quiet part of the 49er land, he decided to do a 49ers Media Madness, it's called. So he picked the 64 in his eyes, best content creators, and he pitted them up against each other. And you had to go online, you had to vote for them. And there was an overall winner. Me being very competitive a couple of years ago, I was like, I want to be in that. So I kept badgering the guy, you know, Rob Stats Guerrera, give him a shout out. And this year he put me in. Now, it isn't a fairy tale story. I got knocked out in the first round.
You were in.
But to be on that list, and that opened the door to Brad Graham because he won it last year. And obviously, he then got me on his show, Rob. And again, I think it's not a test as such, but when you go on with the Americans, what I find is they deliberately don't really give you much what you're going to talk about. And then when you roll the camera, they want to know if you know your stuff. And so I've done those three. So I've been on with the Gold Standard Network. They have 50,000 subs. Brad, 131 subs he's got. And John, 17,000 subs. So the episodes I did with them, they got 2,500 views with Rob, 1,000 views on Brad's channel, and 1.8 thousand views on John's view. Now, we get about 150 to 200 views. So, you know, going on theirs, it increases people's knowledge of who I am and of what we're doing. Does that make sense?
It does. Some questions, right? Right. So, question. In the world of, for those who don't know, hi, ma'am, the 49ers Faithful UK are in American football team? You know them people with the big things on that throw the ball?
No, the 49ers are.
Sorry, that's the 49ers.
49ers.
Question. Because I have genuine interest here. Of all of the creators, if you don't know, just give me a guesstimate. Of all of the 49ers content creators, right, in your pool, as you've called it, who has the most followers on YouTube?
Brad Graham.
And what number roundabout has he got?
He's got 131,000.
Right,
followers.
okay. So
he goes live daily and he gets paid. So his content he's creating.
Right.
So you got to remember, I'm not saying I'm competing with them, but if you're going to go down a road, I do that as a hobby. So
Yeah.
I'm a dad, I'm a partner, I work full time. I do these as a hobby and they're getting paid to create this content.
So I've just it just thought in my head, because what you do, right, is both a gift and a curse. And am I correct in assuming this? It's a gift in that your content is strictly 49ers.
At the moment, yeah.
Right. Therefore, you've got a pre-made audience, basically. It'd be like us all of a sudden doing a Manchester United podcast, right? So immediately, when we do a podcast, right, we don't know for definite, apart from family, who's interested in listening to it. 'Cause we don't actually have a target audience. It's just general, right?
It's people like us.
It's people like us. You got a target audience, which is great because you're like, he is here as a community. I'm gonna make content for that community. Yeah. Perfect. So there's the gift, right? So you've got pre-made audience ready, interested in what you're talking about. Bang. But I just thought that pool is limited.
Yeah.
And that's why I asked. Because I was thinking, as you were talking, I thought, I wonder how much views. Because then I just thought of someone like, I don't know, Bad Friends, Theo Von, millions of what's he called? The Diary of a CEO. 10 million or something people. And I thought, well, it won't be that, will it? And I just thought, so there is a cap, really. There's a cap. Doing 49ers specific content, there's a limit to where that can go. That can't be millions, right? Because there isn't millions of people interested.
It can't be. But to bring it back a different way, so the NFL has 32 teams. It's growing in the UK. I know you don't want to go down the rabbit hole of American football, but in regards to podcasts and content creating, I have got friends who try and do league-wise podcasts. So it might be yous doing a Premier League show. However, if yous did that, you'd have to know all the news. Now, the content I create, it does drive my good lady crazy because I have to be plugged in. I have to be up to date with the news. I have to watch these people. Imagine doing that for 32 teams. So the blessing and the curse. So, for example, this journey for us, you said about your mum. So the 49er Faithful UK begins with your love for the San Francisco 49ers. So if you're a fan in the UK of the 49ers, you think you're the only one in the UK that supports this team in red and gold.
Right.
You then go on the internet and you find other idiots like me. And your passion's there. And that's what we decided to do because all those content creators we've talked about, they're great. Obviously, they're targeting an American audience first. But we realised there was a need for us. So with the time difference, we support a team on the west coast of America. So there's an 8-hour time difference.
Like the worst coast, right?
So when we go live on a Wednesday, we're live at 8 p.m. It's 12 noon in California. So another curse of our content. So, Liverpool have just had that issue with the 3 players coming out of contract. We had a similar issue. So we had 3 of our biggest stars. We weren't sure whether we were going to re-sign them. Won't bore you. We re-signed all of them. But one of them, we'd just done a show for an hour talking about when we were going to sign this guy, how much money we were going to give him, what would happen if he didn't sign. Pressed end record, all giving each other high fives. The news in California broke that, he just signed his deal. So that show we've just done is instantly out of date.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the flip side can be we can wake up in the next morning and all the news is gone. So we've decided to be very specific that we're not competing against these guys. And something that I took from watching the likes of yous, there's a couple of content creators that in our pool get really hung up that they ain't getting the views, they aren't getting the followers. Jerry Maguire, one of my favourite movies, Rod Tidwell and that gets very bitter and twisted if you've seen the movie that he doesn't have the contract and Tom Cruise is trying to get him the contract. Just enjoy the journey, like I've said it before. Trust the process. This is a hobby. It doesn't feed my family. It doesn't put a roof above my head.
No, man.
It's something that I enjoy. And the show I did with you guys last time, you talked about my passion and, how energetic that we can be. That's what we're trying to bring. So it all begins with us supporting the 49ers. But that's basically what I've done since I last saw you guys. I've ticked a few personal milestones with going on podcasts that I've wanted to do.
Yeah, well, listen, I'm going to say this. I've watched probably not one full show. I'm being honest. I've watched when you pop up and it hits on top of my feed. I'll watch, but I ain't watching. I'll be honest, I ain't watching because I actually don't know what you're talking about. But I watch you. That's what I do. I'm actually looking at Paul, and you know what I think? And I'm not just saying this 'cause I'm biased. I think Paul's better than all of them. I just say it. I know. I can see, and I think, Paul could probably do his own thing. You know, that's what I keep. Sorry, criticism. I'm just saying.
Nudgy, Gareth.
Just saying. Sorry, Gareth. I just keep thinking I think Paul's better than them.
Well, I think the beautiful thing about what you're doing is it's again similar to us. It's not a numbers game, and it's not there to feed the family as of yet. Oh my God, it'd be amazing.
Oh, that would be the dream.
It'd be amazing if it did.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But you're doing it for your combined passion and love with your good mates, and you all get on, and you have sort of realised a niche that does need to be fed. Because there are lots of 49er faithful UKers now that love the 49ers, but unfortunately, obviously it's an American team, so
it is.
It's hard to cater for the Americans. But I am curious. You've spoke to a lot of Americans now. What's your verdict on conversating with them? Is the conversation much more different? Is it more energetic? What are they like to conversate with, or are they just normal humans?
I mean, I get on well with the ones I talk to. They're very passionate about the sport, about the country. A lot of praise we get is some of the content creators can be quite negative. So last year wasn't a great year for the 49ers. We're not going to go, this isn't an NFL show, but the Niners didn't do well last year. And we saw a negative side because we've been quite good the last few years. We haven't won the Super Bowl.
Didn't you get in the Super Bowl final?
No, not last. So the Chiefs thankfully got beat by the Eagles. The Chiefs are our nemesis. They keep beating us. So in my fandom, Dan, I've seen 3 Super Bowl losses. So when I decided to step away from supporting Liverpool, and Liverpool were rubbish, I think I might be the curse because Liverpool suddenly started winning everything. The Niners have lost 3 Super Bowls. But I don't have any criticism as such. The ones that I speak to, I mean, like I mentioned there, John Chapman, I met him in San Francisco in 2023. I'd done shows with him and meeting him for the first time, similar to coming up here with you guys tonight. Bear hug, high five. He's been a big supporter of ours. And I think they've seen we're not competition, but they've seen that there's a market in the UK and we're quite passionate. And when I think of where our journey started in the group to where we are now, I was plotting 2018 was when I first discovered the group to now sitting here and talking about the group. And, I've had an ex-Niners player on my show. I've met ex-Niners players down in London. The fixtures have just been released. So our season will start in September. We've got 5 early kickoffs this year, which for a West Coast team's unheard of. So straight away as a community, we're that's going to be 5 meetups. That's going to be Sunday, 5 p.m, 6 p.m. in a bar somewhere, watching the team. And I think that's where our journey goes. So we're a community, like you've said about people like us. The 49ers are not everyone's cup of tea. You mentioned Manchester United at the start. You mentioned Newcastle, Middlesbrough. We are very, if you don't like the 49ers, you're not going to like what we do. But the community we've created, there's something I'm very passionate about. And if I wasn't, I wouldn't do it because I don't get paid for it.
No. Where do you think, have you got a vision? What would you like to happen?
We're very similar to you talked about. You've got this vision for this, but we all work full time. I knew this question might come up. We just want to keep growing, but growing organically. Right. Obviously, you look at the subs. I mean, you look at our social media, Twitter. I still call it Twitter. Sorry, Elon, it won't be X. It's always Twitter. We have 5,322 followers on there, and the 49ers themselves follow us. So I'd love to get to 10,000 followers on that. Excuse me. The Instagram account, we've got 1,300 followers. I'd like to get that to 5,000. The YouTube subs, contradicting myself like you with the gym. We celebrate the wins. When we hit that 1,000 subscribers, that was amazing. Doesn't bring the money in, I'm afraid, chaps. YouTube still haven't paid us. So if you're watching YouTube, we would like some of that money. But the fact that when we log on to our portal and it shows we've hit the 1,000 subs, we've hit the 4,000 watch hours. So it's just a bit difficult at the moment because, as you said, to grow, we need more Niners fans in the UK. So that's out of my control, if that makes sense.
Do you think, I don't know the statistics, but has there been an increase in the popularity of that sport in the United Kingdom over the past 10, 20 years?
I would say so personally.
Do we know any facts though, or is it just opinion? Let's have a look, Southpaw.
Yeah, can I have a
Has the
look?
populator just ask Google? Has the what's the word?
NFL, American football.
Has it become more popular in the UK in the past decade?
I mean,
or
while
less?
he's looking for that, life as an NFL fan in the UK is very niche. It's, late nights, early mornings. It was a badge of honour. If you went back 10 years ago, you probably didn't see stuff like this in the UK. You probably didn't see what we call the merchandise, the caps, the jerseys, the hoodies. And I think, throw that question back to you. Since you've met me, are you more aware of the NFL? Have you ever been walking around Darlington or Middlesbrough and seen someone and thought, that's not an English football top, is that American football? Or is it just me that you know as the NFL?
I don't know. I suppose, like anyone, you're not the first NFL fan I've met, but there's only been a few. I've known of in my life probably half a dozen. I remember there was that one lad in school that liked it. Anthony, the guy that works here with us, he seems to like it.
I had a few people at uni that were big fans of it and that'd stay up for the Super Bowl, but it does say here, yes, the NFL has become significantly more popular in the UK in the last 10 years, including several factors, sort of increased media exposure from you sort of people like the 49ers faithful UK.
Accessibility. Yeah. It's easier to watch now.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, I don't know about you might end up pulling a blinder here. You're kind of like an American, but English, in that you're super passionate, right? Super passionate. And that's a compliment. I don't know, you could pull an absolute blinder. Just imagine over the next 10 years, right? This popularity grows and grows and grows, and it does really take off here. That could happen in the end. Like paddle sport has got really popular over here, right? That new sport.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's something, yeah.
That sort of shit can happen. And you just imagine, right? You just keep doing what you're doing, being the most enthusiastic guy, banging the drum, da-da-da-da-da. And you imagine one day you get an email from them or a message through direct message saying, we want you to do, that could happen. If you become the most, these people are watching.
Oh, we had a meeting, sorry to cut on you there. So the 49ers have got a fan engagement team. They've got the international marketing rights for the UK for the 49ers. Nick Clark was our contact. What a legend that gentleman is. And he got promoted. We've just had a meeting with his replacement 2 weeks ago. She was epic. Rocky. Get the email through from the 49ers. Zoom meeting. Still get the goosebumps, even though we've been doing this for years now. And she jumped on a Zoom call and she's talking to us about, what can she do to help us? How can it grow in the UK? What can we do for the watch party this year coming? And you think, I'm sat at home, Dan, thinking, I'm a 44-year-old bloke living in the northeast of England, and yet the 49ers are sat talking to me and want my thoughts. And then, the exchanging phone numbers with you. And I know you like a good conspiracy on this show.
Love them.
And I wasn't sure whether you got me on because I know Southpaw's more into the football, but the 49ers Enterprises, do you know what that is, Southpaw, before I go any further?
No.
So they are a company, don't know if you want to do your Google check, they own Leeds United. And they have just purchased another soccer team, which I thought was the reason you'd have got me on. So do you know which soccer team they've purchased?
So hang on. This 49er?
So the 49ers Enterprises, there's a reason I'm going down this route. So
is that the company for
that's
them?
the company that
owns the
all
American
these
Football
brands. So
Club.
they own the 49ers.
Right.
They own Leeds United.
Who's the other one?
And they've just bought Glasgow Rangers.
Yep.
Oh, Rangers.
Got them there,
Right.
yep.
Now, for the Scottish fans of this show, I don't profess to know anything about the rivalry.
Right.
But when that news broke that Glasgow Rangers was now in that umbrella, we lost a fair few viewers, and it's very divide because you're either Glasgow Rangers or you're Celtic.
Right.
When they bought Leeds, we saw a little of that. Again, the soccer thing comes in. We're trying to keep it out of the group, but it did come in. But the fact that we've now bought Rangers, that seems to be quite controversial, and I didn't know whether that was something you just wanted to talk about.
Why
tonight.
is it controversial? I don't get it. Have I missed something?
Well, no, Celtic and Rangers have been at each other's necks for years and years and years.
I don't understand the connection. Why?
Because
why would you lose viewers?
So obviously the 49ers Enterprises is an investment arm of the San Francisco 49ers. Now they're infiltrating the UK, trying to take over various ventures, and two of them have been Leeds United and now Glasgow Rangers. Now,
Right.
correct me if I'm wrong, but where's Celtic based? Is that
It's in Glasgow.
It's in
as well.
Glasgow, but yeah, so Celtic and sort of Rangers have been at each other for ages. Now, all of the people who follow the 49ers and also support Celtic will no longer really be a big fan of
Right.
Paul.
Okay, so
And the 49. So a bit like you're a Newcastle fan. You know, Newcastle Sunderland, there's a rivalry there.
right.
You know, I'm sure there's some Newcastle fans would never ever do anything. Sunderland, vice versa.
Yeah.
Leeds, Manchester United. So when the Niners bought Leeds, when we first went down in 2022, the Niners home colours are red. And when we got off the train, a lot of the home Leeds fans were like, that's Manchester United colours. So when they started doing watch parties in Leeds, they started doing it in the road colours, which is white jerseys with red numbers.
Right.
We've already had some feedback that up in Glasgow now, if you're seen wearing Niners gear, which, if you know me, I'm sure those watching at home, I never go anywhere without any Niners gear. But apparently now in Glasgow, I'd have to be careful because automatically 49ers is linked to Glasgow Rangers.
That's crazy, that though,
So
isn't it?
I think a few of our Scottish fans were very excited when the news broke, especially if you were a Rangers fan, because they were thinking, well, when they've bought Leeds, they've had watch parties in Leeds.
Yeah.
Are they going to have a watch party in Glasgow? Now, I don't know. That's a whole other rabbit hole with the danger, but I would be a little bit nervous if I got off that train in Glasgow and I suddenly got a load of abuse being an Englishman from the North East wearing a Niners hat and getting some grief because I'm linked to that. So we've had to take an approach in our group where we've had to say very publicly the 49ers Enterprise are not the Niners, and we've tried to kind of discourage any kind of chat. It's similar with the Leeds stuff. You know, we do have Leeds fans in the group. We have people who support multiple teams. I'm one of the few that I'm just a Niners fan. I don't do other sports. But we try and keep it out of our group.
Yeah, it's crazy that you're facing them sort of politics though, because this is just an investment arm. You know, it's not some. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't discredit you guys in any way, really, should it?
So that was one thing that I thought we're going to go down that route, because I know you do like a good conspiracy theory. We'd have to get Rob's take on that, because I know Rob likes a good conspiracy theory.
Would know more conspiracy about
I
that.
love Rob.
I mean, one that you were mentioning in the car to me was the whole Diddy scenario.
Oh,
And about Trump pardoning Diddy. Was there any sort of truth behind that, or was that something that you just said? Or
No, he said it as a passing comment, but like content creators do, they jump all over it.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't say he was going to.
yeah,
Somebody asked him in the media, would he consider pardoning him? And he just sort of, mumbled through it and said, I'd have to have a look at the facts and blah, blah, blah. And obviously all content creators then do is to jump on it and he actually does have the power to do that, but he's not going to do it. Do you know? Obviously.
I think it's a crazy law that the president can just pardon people no matter what they've done.
But you gotta think like you know, before we started, you said you didn't want to go down American football, but no matter what content you create, as you've just said there, you mentioned that, and I thought my teenage daughters haven't mentioned anything about that. You know, they're plugged into TikTok when the Diddy stuff first broke. Kaylee, who's now 18, give her a little shout out there. She was very much into absorbing all these conspiracy theories. So I didn't need to watch the news or the podcasts, because every time we had tea, Kaylee would tell me what was going on. So when you two mentioned Diddy there, I was thinking, she's not mentioned anything. I mean, she has been busy with her A-levels at the moment, but it just goes to show, 10 years ago, a court case like that in America, we would have been reading about it in newspapers or we'd have been playing catch-up. But now, in the age of social media and YouTube, you mentioned Joe Rogan. When I was here last time, he had Donald Trump on. You look at the amount of views that show had.
Yeah, right,
And
massive.
whether you like him or loathe him, the last 6 months watching, Elon Musk and the press conferences, I still can't get away that Trump sits there and Elon Musk stood over him.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw it the other day with the black eye and the Dodge cap on, and then obviously that's filtered into our politics with, reform and, Durham and now a reform council. I don't know if you've seen their councils have gone in and they're doing the whole Dodge and wanting to account for every penny spent. And
Yeah. No, I think he hasn't Elon like left the gang now. I'm sure like he was fixing all like he had like what was it, like 16 weeks or something? He was only in for a bit and like I think that's over now. I think
It's a strange one because obviously it's called the United States of America. And they've all got different, kind of like ideologies and they've got different people running it. I haven't seen too much. Obviously, when I was here 6 months ago, the news had just broke that Trump had took over. Coming up tonight, one thing that you guys do really well, you just invite the guest on and you don't send anything what you're going to talk about. So I've prepared anything and everything. There's some rabbit holes that we're going to go down. But you mentioned that Mobb Deep song earlier. Now, you did a show recently and you were talking about Anthony Hutton and Big Brother. I think it was one I did with you, sorry. And I was thinking Big Brother resonated with me and I couldn't remember why. Now, I'm not sure the year Anthony Hutton was on, but the year I watched it was in 2002 when the fireman from the Northeast, Johnny, became the runner-up.
that's right.
Jade Goody's year. And like you, to me, I was like, these guys are celebrities. Oh my God, this show's amazing.
2005 it was.
And on that show, he mentioned a song called Turn It Around by Alana. And if you remember back then, they weren't allowed music, they were allowed little treats. And 2005, so 20 years ago, I very first heard this song mentioned. And that's on my playlist now, as is that Mobb Deep one. But Tracy hates that one. She's like, Paul, you're in your 40s, what are you listening to gangster rap for?
Yeah.
So sorry, I just wanted to link that in tonight because it was interesting when you talk about, because I wasn't sure where we were going with tonight's show. I didn't want to just be too NFL.
We're not
I
going
didn't want to be
anywhere.
too-
Yeah, we literally the whole. I don't think there ever is a direction. There might be a couple of points that we want to discuss, but a lot of the time, like especially with yourself, this is your third time on. It's a catch up for us. You know what I mean? It's nice to see.
Catch up.
It's nice to catch up, see what's going on in your world. Obviously, it looks like it's the quiet season, of course, for what's going on in the NFL. But it sounds like you've had some politics here and there. But it's always interesting to have you on, Paul.
Well, I don't know how you guys do your social media. So the reason I mentioned that, if you think back to now with like my girls watch Love Island. So to me, that's like Big Brother, but they're voting online, they're watching every night, they're then going on YouTube, they're then going on TikTok. We didn't have that when you were watching Big Brother back then. It was on like a Friday. It was on every day, wasn't it? But it was like an hour at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You were watching the best bits. And like with the group, so Lee Gowland gave me the social media 2019, 2020. And I just do it on my phone. I do it as a hobby. I do it in my spare time. And seeing our group, even though it's the quiet off season, our group's very active. I think I said this last time I was here. I'm unlikely to walk into a bar in Darlington tonight and find another NFL fan that I can sit down and talk football with. Where Southpaw, you could probably go into any bar in Newcastle and bump into a Newcastle fan.
Yeah.
And you could sit and talk, a Borough. We're here today, Borough have just sacked Michael Carrick.
Yeah,
to me-
indeed. Yeah.
To me, we've just signed 3 big players, but that wouldn't mean anything to you. I'm going to, George Kittle, Brock Purdy, Fred Warner. Those names mean nothing to you, do they? No disrespect.
Nothing.
And for us as Niners fans, we're not normally very good at getting those deals done early because we're in like our transfer window now.
Right.
The Niners predominantly drag these out until the season's getting close to starting in September, and then they sign all the deals. So the fact the Niners have signed these players now,
Must have wanted him.
we're like, oh, well, they wanted them and they wanted no distractions because the last couple of years, these contracts have dragged out. People have gone on social media. There's been a lot of talk. In the NFL, if you don't have your contract, you don't go to training because you're trying to force the hand. So we've had our 3 biggest kind of talking points as content creators boxed off in June. So now we're all a little bit like, this is a bit quiet. But our group is very active. We've got the Facebook group. We've got a Discord. There's always people chatting. And we have to manage that.
What is a Discord? I've heard that word bandied around a lot. I don't know what a Discord server is. What does it mean?
It's think of like WhatsApp and you've got your group chats. So it's a social media app and it has different channels. We branched into that about 2 years ago purely because we found the algorithm on Facebook wasn't working. So in our group, the Facebook is still king. We've got 3,500 members on that. There's only 287 members in our Discord. So going back to my earlier point about how many subscribers you've got, but if you look at how many people are interacting with you, so our Discord is very active. That's like 287 people who are talking daily. And there's different channels, some people, there's a general chat in there, which is for stuff other than football. That's where we do our game day thread. But I didn't like it at first, but now I've got to like it because it keeps it in order. So if me and you were having a chat in Discord now, it keeps it in date order and it keeps all the comments in date order. What we were finding on Facebook with the algorithm was it was showing you stuff from days ago.
Right.
And I think on Facebook, a good friend of ours, Brownie Point Kitchen, got a box of them at the weekend. Delightful.
on.
She's finding that the algorithm, because she's not paying as a business rate or something on there, it's hiding stuff on there. So that's why we've moved off Facebook a little bit, to be honest.
Right. I mean, thank you for the explanation, but I'm no further forward. What is a Discord server? What does it do?
It's just a chat. It's
People talk.
yeah,
Like,
it's like
It's
a
a
global-
messaging,
It's like
not-
a comment section basically where people can correspond with each other and discuss
right.
certain
like
topics.
a group chat.
So there you go.
Yeah,
Why wouldn't you just use?
So,
Right.
so again, we're all busy. So that's the channel. So that's me logged in there. So say, for
But all
example,
these
you-
people, they're
so
different
say if
people.
you wanted to talk NF49ers now, you could go in there now when it works and drop a chat in there, and that's all the comments. So it's
Right.
for people who are busy and might not want to send.
So it's basically it's a WhatsApp group.
Yeah.
Right.
But they keeps it in order. So Nadji, who's one of the co-hosts, it was his baby. And I stayed away from it at first because I'm the social media guy for the Instagram, for the Twitter. I didn't want to kind of be running another server, for want of a better word. And then when the game day thread started, I started dipping my toe in it a little bit. So basically on a Sunday night, if we're playing at 1 a.m, you sat at home, you're trying to be quiet because everyone's in bed. You can't be on the phone. So you use it to chat
Right.
in the game day thread
Right.
rather than just, sitting at home on your own at 2 a.m. watching this game, especially last year when we were terrible.
What's just again? This is pure interest. You know these people you've got on your 49ers YouTube channel, right? What's the age demographic? What sort of age groups are listening?
They're probably my age, to be fair. We're probably male heavy and we're probably blokes from like 35 to 40. We have a hardcore of like 150, 200 views every week. When we go live on a Wednesday night, we might have up to 50 people watching there, and then the comments come in. So like imagine now me and you are live and Southpaw's controlling the comments, and you might be firing questions at you. That definitely helps with the Wednesday show sometimes. If it's a quiet news day,
yeah.
I might go live and then, you might be in the chat and you might ask me a question and it helps.
The social media side of things you were saying before, like that can sometimes be a lot, in terms of managing them all, and you're doing it completely out of passion. There's no paid sort of source coming from this. You love the 49ers, you love what you're doing for the group, and you love what you're doing for your community. I get that. Does that ever get too much? The sort of social media side of things.
if Tracy's watching,
yeah. Is that sometimes a bit much for you?
kind of. I mean, again, another reason I thought you might have got me on is this month is Men's Mental Health Awareness in June, and there's a big push at the moment, isn't it, about men opening up to themselves. And I think I said earlier, I'm the world's most unconfident person, and I think I found it, gave me a purpose. 2015, marriage breakdown, become a single parent, was trying to look for my place in the world, decided to invest a bit more time into the 49ers. I was online a lot more, I had more free time. And that's how we built our following up, because I was up in the middle of the night. I was talking to the American content creators. I was watching their shows and I was in the comments. So it is something that in the last 18 months or so, I have tried to rein in. I try to have some phone-free days, and I don't get myself upset if I haven't broke the news. The good thing with our community now is some other people have taken up the mantle. So I used to find it was me, right, George Kittle signed his new contract, right, I need to tweet that out. I need to share that news. If it's not me now, Southpaw, if it's a Friday night and I promised the missus a movie night and my phone's switched off, I'm trying to get that better than being plugged in all the time. If that answers your question that way.
It's the balance, isn't it? It's finding that balance, and it's not easy. But once you find it, I think you can enjoy both, can't you? You love what you do, but then equally, I sometimes dream of those days where you can just completely shut off your phone, or you don't. I had a weekend there with the boys and must have touched my phone 4 or 5 times. And those true moments with the lads, fully just immersed in what's going on, like they're special, aren't they? Really, getting away from the devices, because they can be toxic. It's like.
I mean, I mentioned it last time I was here. I went to San Francisco November the 19th, 2023, and I said to everybody, when we get into that stadium, that phone is getting switched off. This might be the only time that I travel 5,000 miles to watch the team I love play football, and I did. I took a couple of photos at the start. I switched my phone off and I put my phone in the pocket, and for 4 hours I was just in with the banter with the lads. I was watching the football And I've took that away. Again, when we do the watch parties, we'll do a couple of photos at the start, but you need to enjoy it while you're there.
Yeah.
And I've said before, you need to enjoy the journey, not just the destination. So answering your question, where do I see the group going? As long as I enjoy it, I'm going to keep doing it. But it's mad to think 20 years ago when Liverpool won the Champions League, that meant everything to me. And I still remember the text messages off the Manchester United fans goading me when they were getting beat 3-0 at half time. Fast forward to now watching the parade in Liverpool, didn't mean anything to me. And I can't explain why it didn't mean anything, just as I got older. And where I'm passionate about the Niners, I'm not one of those where if the Niners get beat, I'm kicking the dog the next day or I'm not doing stuff with the missus. I enjoy the highs, but equally, it's a game that's happening 5,000 miles away and I've got no control over it.
No.
So if you don't enjoy it, stop, basically.
Yeah. No, I get that. No, it is, mate. It's always, I do admire your passion for what you like. Well, for what you love. I do admire it a lot, to be honest. But it's funny what you just said about the whole putting the phone away thing. That just took me down a rabbit hole. I was having something to eat the other day, and I know obviously we've all seen this. I can remember sitting there and seeing, like couples were sat at a table and they're both on the phone staring at each other, like staring at the phones and not conversing. Can you imagine like how bad that is?
That's a big no-no for Tracy. So if Tracy, well, I know she watches, so she'll be saying like, he's still bad with his phone use, but he's getting better. But like if we go out for a food, yeah, we're not on our phones. And I have noticed that, which is weird, kind of being someone who was addicted to social media and, passionate about this. I notice the same things. I'll be out and I'll be thinking, why aren't you talking to each other? What's so important on your phone?
Do you know these moments, Paul? Do you know when you put your phone away, right? And you have your movie night or you're out for food or whatever. Do you in your head still think, I want to look at my phone?
I've got better with it. To give Tracy a heads up, when we went to Tenerife with the girls last year, she was like, right, we're having a phone-free week. So bear in mind then Kaylee was probably 17. Obviously thinking, oh my God, the boyfriend's going to go mad because I can't talk to him. I was thinking, oh God, what happens if the Niners news breaks? And you know what? I love that week. We literally didn't have our phones on. And like Southpaw said, the memories we created, the laughs that we had. Now, did we have many photos from that holiday? No, we didn't. But already now I'm smiling, thinking I would love to go back. Disneyland Paris last year. I mean, you talked about that last time I was here. Again, Tracy took the photos on her phone, but I didn't have a phone on me. It was absolutely amazing. So I have got better with that than what I used to be fair.
Can't say I've ever done more than a few hours without my phone. Like, I've never done a day.
I just think it's special to try and fully immerse yourself, like in an environment. Like you get
on the same hand. To interrupt you there was Rylan on one of the This Morning or Good Morning Britain. Something they had a debate about when you travel not being plugged into devices. Now I got the train to work today, and that 40-minute train journey was bliss with my headphones in, listening to some music, getting ready for tonight, watching a couple of podcasts. I don't think I could have got on that train on my own and travelled 40 minutes. I think I would have found that difficult being on my own and, just kind of sat there thinking. But if I was with a couple or if I was with a friend, absolutely. Where do you stand on that? Would you be able to go on a 40-minute hour journey on your own without any kind of scrolling on your phone, listening to music?
No, definitely not. No, definitely not. I wouldn't want to be fair. You get bored. Like, yeah, of course you couldn't. What else do you do on a train? Like, what do you do? You look out the window? Like,
yeah.
What?
There's not many memories that could be made on a train. But
No.
but then equally, like one of the ones that stands out, just thinking about that there, it took me back to a moment when I was doing a shoot down in London. Really, really good day. All went well. I was getting the train back, and I thought, I'm going to get some tinnies. So I got a 4-pack, and I was
You
just,
love it.
I ju- I'm,
Yeah,
I'm,
4-pack.
Four-pack.
It wasn't these ones,
it
though, was
wasn't
it?
those. So I got a 4-pack of, I don't know, it must have been San Miguel or something. And I sat there, and then this man comes and sits across from me, and I'd obviously taken the seat because I was doing a little bit of work. I wasn't fully immersed yet in a conversation. Just got speaking to this guy. Turns out he'd worked with people that I knew down in London. Like, he shared a couple of cans. He was going to a night out, and he was like, oh, mate, I was fancying a couple of cans, but I was rushing to get the train. So he had a couple of martinis, and, like, before you know it, like, you're back in Darlow. And, like, that train ride flew by just because I conversated with somebody across the lane from me. And, that was, that we'll never see each other again. And it was sound, and it was good crack. And he was a nice guy. But, yeah, that's one of them moments where you can you find other avenues to, instead of just jumping on your phone scrolling, because I think it's going to be.
You know what's mad about your dynamic? Because I am a fan of the show, as you said, and I wouldn't share, I wouldn't comment. And you're right, I'll be watching the show back. The episode when you were talking about the thumbs up, Tracy and the girls think I'm mad because I rage. If I send Tracy a message and she sends me a thumbs up, I'm like, what have I done? Why are you in the mood with me?
It's basically an FU.
Yeah, that's
It's
so that
not,
episode
it's-
that I was watching with you guys, I was like straight away in the chat. But like, you're like me. I could sit on that train day. If my phone was broke, I'd have to talk to someone. I am that person that could make eye contact, where you and Johnny are like, head down, absolutely not. And that's what I think works when it comes across when I'm watching at home. And that episode when you talked about the thumbs up, it caused a bit of controversy on that show. And I was thinking, I'm like you. You send me a thumbs up, I'm raging. So I don't know if you noticed the nod when you asked me to come on. I did the salute emoji.
Oh yeah, you did the
because you
salute,
said
and
that's
I
acceptable.
just put a thumbs up, and I was like, no way, he's speaking in Dan. But like,
I'm gonna make a claim. I own that emoji.
no,
I'd never used it before, but I did tip the nod when you
Yeah,
asked me
you-
to come on. But
yeah,
I thought
you
then you
did.
thumbs me up, so I thought, is he having that for you,
fuck
Dan?
thumbs up
fuck
him.
you. I was just, I thumbs up everyone.
That's
it's
a
not,
guest, man.
Mate, I told you, like, this isn't like, for me, the thumbs up is like a Sal, mate.
That's not just a guest. That's a friend.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
thumbs up
It's
your
a
friend.
friend.
And because I communicate with you on there, I knew it was you. Because
Yeah.
when I first communicated on Instagram, I wasn't sure who was behind it, and then you admitted it was you. But I'll let that one slide.
Yeah,
so
it
far 'cause
wasn't.
of,
It
you know.
wasn't Daniel. It was me. And the thumbs up in my world is more than. It's a sound, mate. It's like, how you doing? Yeah, happy days, sound.
Really.
Yeah.
The neighbour was, I know we're probably close to the time, but have you taken his wheels off his wheelie bin? Because to be honest, like Tracy will say to me sometimes, what are you watching? And I think she's happy that I've gone away from just football podcasts.
Yeah, I bet.
But I was bad laughing with I haven't had any update for 2 weeks.
I know.
There's been no show. I need to know neighbour wars are good.
It's
The
coming
whole
back.
the whole street now has no wheels, mate.
No. Update on Neighbour Wars. It's actually taken a different sort of angle now. We're more friends now. So we got dogs at the same time.
Right.
So little, a bit of a soft spot. So the first day I got Wilson, I was in the back garden with him, and the thief was talking over the fence at me. That's the greenhouse guy.
Yeah, I was going to say I knew who that was. I
Yeah,
know
yeah.
about Greenhouse Guy.
And he was like, "Oh, what's his name, mate?" And I was, to be honest, I was being a bit of an arsehole at first. I didn't really want to speak to him. Do you know what I mean? I was like, "Oh yeah." I told him his name, and he told me this like story, and I was like, "Oh, I get this." He said I had a golden retriever, and told me his name. I forget his name, and he said he lived to be so and so, and I could see in his eyes that this dog meant a lot to him. Do you know what I mean? That this was really important to him. This dog, and at that moment, I like you. Like, because now I know you're a compassionate dog owner.
Yeah.
Now, what happened then is a week later, I was coming in, holding Wilson, carrying him, walking to the door, and they rushed to their front door, beaming smiles, holding their dog. So they'd gone out and got a
way.
puppy, like a black Labrador this time,
Yeah.
and talking about puppy play dates and
Oh, look at you
you
being
know,
an established
that sort of
member of
stuff.
your
When you've
street.
answered
Go
one
on,
of the
Daniel.
questions, because I wanted to know the name of the dog, and then that episode when you were talking about you travelled up, you'd give him the money, but then you were like, I'm going to tell him to keep the money. It's like tonight, I told you about an accident on the road, and he texted me, is it too late for you to cancel? I'm thinking, I'm already sat outside, mate. Like, that's the kind of guy I am.
I
But
was like, no.
I resonated with you with
I was
that.
like, no way, like as if you can't make it. But
But the dog, yeah, I mean, when I met Tracy, she had Trixie, little white fluffy teddy bear dog. And I've always been a dog lover, but to that extent now, we're 7 years into our relationship. She's our baby, you know.
Oh, yeah.
So that was one of my questions, was the update on the dog. Because again, that hooked Tracy, and I was like, Dan's getting a dog. So straight away, the kids were like, right, what kind of dog? What's the name? We even debated whether to buy a dog toy, but we decided that was quite personal. So again, cheeky plug for my next time I come on, we'll communicate, and the girls would like to buy Wilson, as you now know, a toy. Because I don't know about you, Trixie has a birthday. Trixie gets birthday presents wrapped up.
Really?
Trixie is part of the family, so
Wilson will have a toy.
Wilson might make an appearance one day when
Yeah.
he stops pissing.
Yeah, that
But
would be
at the moment,
great.
he's in the wee stage.
yeah.
We'll
lots
have
of wee, you know.
Wilson on the table, not pissing, would be great.
That would be great. We're getting there.
Is your furniture survive then? Because I know there was a big debate with you and Johnny about, because So for us, we have a little baby. Well, it's not even a baby. It's a little gate. So Trixie does not go over the gate. She would not go upstairs. If you move the gate, she ain't going upstairs. I think it was you were talking about a dog. Trixie does not go upstairs. She's scared of upstairs. And if the girls do take her upstairs, she comes back down. But Trixie has the run of the front room. So yeah, we have quite an expensive, large sofa that when we first purchased it was like, we'll let the dog on. Yeah, the dog sits on the sofa. Yeah, the dog has the full run of the front room. You come to our house, you have to have Trixie jumping on you.
Yeah, it's part of the deal.
So you mentioned about your expensive furniture, and I was thinking, have you stuck to keeping the dog off the furniture, or is it kind of...
It's not that it's expensive furniture. It's expensive furniture I haven't paid for. That's what it is. It's like, I can't ruin this furniture when I'm still paying for it for the next few years.
Yeah.
That isn't, like, okay. No, he hasn't. But I have tactics. So when he, when he comes... he's not around my house. He lives at my mum's now. I don't know if you've had that update.
No, that was...
So, this is the thing. Like, you're going to get a whole update on this, Paul.
On the first show that comes out.
On the first show, so yeah.
So I'll save you it, right? Because
I do watch, because I must admit, I thought the episode where you kind of closed up, I thought, okay, first week. I was like, all right, they're building up to something. You teased a big important guest. I said 2 weeks in, I'm like, cold turkey. I was like, where's my Friday? People like us. There was nothing on the Instagram. I was like, right, summertime, Yeah.
So, well, we have got is it tomorrow, the interesting guest?
Yes, we do. It's tomorrow evening.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll tell you off camera.
So that'll be what, the third show out?
That'll be the third show, and your episode won't come out. So it won't be this week that we're back on. It'll be the week after.
Yeah.
So for the viewers watching, it won't be Wednesday. It won't be Friday the 6th. It'll already be out by this point. I don't know why I'm telling you, but yeah, it'll be Friday the 13th.
Right.
So hopefully it all goes well on that day. Who knows?
For some, yeah.
But yeah.
So when's Paul's out?
Paul's will be out Friday the 20th.
Got you. Okay. Well, yeah, there is a guest that is coming on, which is very unusual. Like, we'll tell you off camera what it is.
Yeah.
But a very, very, very unusual story to tell, which, to be honest, I don't know what to expect. I don't know what I'm going to get told. I don't know what he's going to tell us. We're just going to have to wait and see.
We're grateful and excited.
Very grateful that he's coming to do this for us.
Yeah.
Very, very grateful. But yeah, watch this space because there is something unusual coming.
Well, there's this episode, already an interesting guest, and there's another one on the way. So
these are our family episodes.
Yeah.
The Johnnies, the Pauls, the
Robs.
Yeah, they're in-house shows.
The Bens. Yeah.
They're in-house shows.
You're part of the team, Paul.
But I always think
appreciate that.
a new guest that's got a very interesting life is always, to be honest, I don't get nervous when I have our in-house shows. I am nervous about that one.
Really?
Yeah, nervous. Because I'm aware that he's got a very, very, very serious and interesting story.
Yeah.
And I don't want to fuck it up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't
well,
want to say something stupid.
But you did the Anthony Hutton one, and you were very conscious not to go down the Big Brother route. Off camera tonight, Southpaw said he didn't want to go down the Niners route. So the first episode I came in as Mr. 49ers because that's how you knew I had the hat on, I had the hoodie on. The last episode, my second appearance, I came with literally no Niners gear. Tonight I went with a little nod because I thought we have to talk about it. But as a fan of the show, you fanboyed over me last time I came on, and the girls absolutely loved that. I like that you have the different guests on. I look forward each week. I like the in-house episodes, like you said with Johnny, Southpaw, Ben. I loved the updates from Ben. I know his life's gone a different direction with what he's doing, but then you sprinkle the guests in, and it is what it says in the tin. People like us, and it's good to see where you are going. And I was delighted to be one of the first in the new studio. I'm not going to lie.
You are, mate. You are the first guest. Yeah.
Johnny's an employee, isn't he?
Yeah, he's part of the furniture.
He's employed by people like us, pretty much. So I guess that doesn't really count.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're the first guest.
So I do appreciate that, man.
I think it's only right. I think if it's only right, it's the right guest to be the first guest. I think
it was.
Yeah. What else is in this book? Oh, because I have to go walk a dog. That's all, lads.
Yeah.
No, I just wrote some stuff down. I won't bore you. I mean, you probably saw if you follow me on social media. We went to Markham and Blackpool for a couple of days away. The reason I'm going to mention the story, my mission was to meet Tyson Fury. When Tracy told me we were going to a caravan outside of Markham, and she laughed at me, Southpaw, because I said he goes to the beach every morning. He puts it on his social media.
He does, yeah.
He goes for a run. So we went to Markham, lovely little place in the April half term. We did the Markham and Y statue. We didn't see Tyson. And then when we come home, we found out that he was at Ackland Motors, which is literally around the corner from my house,
Yeah.
buying a car. So
No
the university,
way.
so I know Tyson watches.
Of course he
He
does.
keeps calling Markham the Bay, which is what the San Francisco call, the Bay Area. We went to Blackpool with the kids, went up Blackpool Tower, did the touristy stuff. Tracy petrified of heights. She doesn't like the glass floor.
Oh, fuck that.
That would have been good fun.
Said I'd give Kaylee a shout out. She's 18 now, Dan.
Is
Happy
she?
She's
birthday.
driving.
Happy
Wow,
birthday, Curly.
So not only is she 18, she's driving. And for those people who don't follow me on social media, yes, we had a fancy dress party and I was dressed as Superman.
Fantastic.
she
I thought I carried it off quite well given my age.
Oh, you
So
did.
we'll
I
share
s-
some photos.
I saw that picture, right? Yeah, I seen it.
Photo on screen now. Yeah. Paul's going to send us that, Anya.
So
Yeah.
yeah, no. So I mean, when you come on a show like yours and you think, oh God, why do they want to talk to me? I quote you, some idiot from the northeast, or a 44-year-old bloke who's a dad, works for local government, and watches a very niche sport. Then you write it down and you think, actually, I've done a fair bit, and you seem to have a pattern. You seem to have me on every 6 or 7 months, so I quite like that. So I think, right, I'll pencil in 6 months' time because you'll want an update, and hopefully I'll have some more stuff to tell you.
100%.
Yeah. Now we have you on, Paul, because we like you. That's
Yeah.
why we like you, and I dig you. I just dig you. I think you're a great content creator. I think you're a proper nice bloke, and you've always been complimentary about this chaos that we produce as well. But yeah, listen, mate, brilliant. Thank you for coming on. Apologies, it's been all a bit rusty, but we're still finding our feet, aren't we, South Paul?
Yeah, I think there's, as we say, there's lots more changes that need to happen in here. But as we mentioned, Paul, it's good to have you on as one of the sort of first guests. And as always, every 6 or 7 months, it's been a pleasure catching up.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the end of the show, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you again for watching people like us, and we'll see you next time.